Hello.
Hello, 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 hello. If anyone is here, hello, hello, hello.
I
I
don't
don't know if
actually know if
anyone's
it
here
is.
yet, but we are
We
here to
are.
discuss. We are here, to talk about the last three books in the Schwabble of a Ding Dong, Read Along a Ding Dong, a Doo Da Da Dee.
Is that the right way or the wrong way for you guys?
Dee-da-dee-da-do-do.
Wee ba 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 bo.
Dee-da-dee-da-do.
Um, and I think what we'll do first, as we always do, is before we go into because normally we don't have to read the synopsis, do we? But there's three different books in this one, so for the for the so ding 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 ding. What Tori? Just give me ratings for all three books to start with. What did you rate them all?
4 for City of Ghosts, 4.5 for Tunnel of Bones, 4.5 for Bridge of Souls.
Hmm.
Nice.
Gemalama Ding Dong.
5s.
Really? I
Yeah.
feel really shit. 'Cause, this is I hate saying this. I feel like a traitor, and I feel like really pained. Uh, like I'm scared. I gave it City of Ghosts a 3.
I think that's what Auntie did.
Um,
Yeah.
and then I gave the second one. I'd probably round it up to a 4, but it was kind of like a 3.5 to 4. And then the last one was a 4 for sure. So I feel like the 3 sort of like stabbed me in the heart a bit. I was like, no, Schwab can't be a 3. But it was
I mean,
unfortunately.
mine are 5s, but they are like low 5s. It's more like I have kind of, I don't know, made myself look at them a bit more like subjectively and reminded myself that they're middle grade, which I don't read a lot of. So I don't really
Yeah.
have any middle grade to like compare it to. So it's more just kind of like accepting that it's not going to be as like intricate or as, I don't know, like in depth as her other stuff. And
Yeah.
then if I read it that way, then I end up enjoying it just as much. But there are a few things that do like irritate me about it. So they are like low 5s, but I'm still happy to give them like a 5 for a middle
Yeah.
grade.
I mean, 3s and 4s aren't bad, but for me,
Four's
other
really
than
good.
but the Near Witch, like other than Near Witch, I think I've given every Schwab book a 5. So I feel very much
I've
like
had, yeah, Near Witch was lowest for me. And then I
Yeah,
think I've had
same.
one 4.5 the rest of the whole time we've been doing Schwabalong. Um, and then like these two, I read a lot more middle grade than Jam does. So like these were really, really close for me. There was just certain bits that bugged me enough, but I was super close to 5 for these two.
Mhm.
But
I
this
wonder
one
whether
bugged
we
me
read
more.
them wrong. We should have read them like maybe straight after the
I
Near
think
Witch,
we should have read these.
maybe.
Yeah,
because it's
Yeah.
more similar writing style. Because the Near Witch, it was her debut, and
Yeah.
although we all still really enjoyed it, there were some issues with it, and some of the writing was not like on Schwab level. And I think
yeah.
that is
Yeah.
kind of the same here, but because it's written for middle grade, and I think maybe we should have read these straight after the Near Witch, and then it wouldn't have felt so maybe jarring's maybe the wrong word, but like it
Yeah.
maybe wouldn't have stood out so much for you guys, if that makes
This
Yeah.
sense.
one wasn't. I want to just point out before we go further, this isn't a 4 because of the writing style and it being middle grade. This is a 4 because, stupidly, because it's set in Edinburgh. Which
Yeah.
sounds stupid, and I know that sounds stupid, but the amount of times in books, and I don't know if you two have read stuff that's set somewhere you've lived or that you really know, I got really
Sorry,
jarred
I'll stop you there.
anytime.
Nothing's set anywhere
Nothing
near
set
where I
here.
live.
I
Nothing.
know, but like
You're
nothing
in the
set
arse end
up
of
here.
nowhere.
Nothing's set up here either, because I'm also in the back end of fuck all nowhere. But like, I went to uni in Edinburgh. I know Edinburgh. I lived very close to where this is written my first year of uni, and there's certain things where it's just an offhand comment of, oh, they walked from here to there and then they backed away and did it again and they went back the way they came, and I'm like, dude, that would have taken you so fucking long. You'd be knackered by the time you did it once, and now they're making a 12-year-old go back the way because, oh yeah, that's just fucking like, it's stupid things that to me, I know how steep some of the hills that they're talking about, and it's not just a case of your road's like this, your road's like this, and she's gone up, she's walked back, and now she's being made to turn around and go back. Like, there was just some things that I was like, dude, get on a fucking bus. You know what I mean?
Fair.
Like, it's not anything ridiculous, it's not anything major. And at one point, I literally was in the car listening to the audiobook, and I was like, yeah, right, like, fuck, that road meets that road. And I came home and looked at a map, and I was like, oh, fuck, it does. But literally, I'd been so pissed off in the car that I couldn't picture in my head where this road, where the Royal Mile met the bridges. Like, in my head, I just couldn't figure it out. So I was like, but the Princes Street's there, and that's the bridges, and the Royal Mile's up there. I was like, I just could not figure it out in my head. I was so pissed off in the car. I came home, looked at a map, and I was like, oh, fuck, it does. It's the very first junction. Oh, okay. And, like, had to rearrange my brain. So, like, the fact it was in Edinburgh kept pulling me out of the story.
Yeah, I get what you mean.
Whereas I haven't been to any of the cities.
I've been to Paris once, but I was 12, and I never did anything that's mentioned in this, and I've never been to,
New Orleans.
I would like to go to all three of those places. All three of those places will be visited by me at some point in my life, I hope. But so far, no.
But it was also hilarious because
I've been to Edinburgh,
but
it was
close in this is what I didn't do 2 weeks ago with Spoops and Co. I went and sat it out because I didn't want to do it, and they were in this talking about how haunted it was, and I was like, yup, Andy was talking about that. I'm glad I didn't go. I was like, nope.
I would have loved to have gone.
I sat it out.
I've been to Edinburgh once, but it was on a night out with my family, so I didn't even get to see the sights. I think I've been shopping there once, but Edinburgh, like all three of these places,
that makes me sad. Everyone should go. Just don't live there and then read a book that talks a lot about walking around because you'll get pissed off. Or I do.
So with regards to like the locations of each of the books, like what did you think about each book being set in a different place?
I loved it.
Hi, Ashlog.
Hi, love. I loved it, and I genuinely don't think Schwab could have picked 3 more perfect settings for them, or have picked 3 cities for different types of hauntings. Like, I genuinely adored the fact it was set in Edinburgh. It just kept pulling me out because I kept arguing with the narrative, which is not what you want to do when you're reading a book.
Yeah.
But like, and you can totally imagine me doing it. I know you both can imagine me ranting in my head, or ranting out loud, because let's face it. But like, I loved the fact it was all of these different types of hauntings as well, and the fact it was completely different cities, and that she got to travel. Like, what kid doesn't want to travel? I'm not getting to go to the beach, but I get to go to Edinburgh, where I've packed, my jumpers. It literally made me cackle when it said that instead of packing her stuff for the beach, she was packing her jumpers because she got told it would be cold. I actually started cackling in the car.
Like, that's just the whole of the UK in general, really. And it's just like, pack for the cold weather, guys.
I'm
actually I'm so tempted just to go and meet you for a second because I need my slippers. I'm absolutely freezing. I've not put my slippers on.
Go.
I need my slippers and a blanket. I'll return in just one moment. Play hold music.
do 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 do.
Oh god.
What did you think about it being in 3 different cities?
I really liked it. Like, I knew that the potential for some of the information to be a bit exaggerated might be, like, because I know Edinburgh is a hilly place, especially in certain areas. So I did, I don't know it that well, but I do know that it's not easy to get around. So I was aware of the fact, but it didn't piss me off because obviously I don't know the area well enough for it to mean anything to me. But I'm probably, if I looked up all the different areas and the way that they so easily got around each of the areas, I'm sure that there would be some kind of, bit of a disconnect. But I think, just for the sake of the story, just for the narrative. I think it worked well. I did like the fact that you got like a local for each of the areas that you went to that was
Yes.
like the person. And I just want to say right now, I fucking love Lara.
I
Like,
love Lara.
she is just sassy as hell. And from the very start, I knew that she actually liked her, liked Cassidy, but she was very sort of like standoffish. But she was just, because everything had to be by the book. You know, you're not supposed to have that ghost as a friend. Like, he needs to go.
Why are you not reaping them?
her banter with Jacob. Was it Jacob? I want to say
Yes.
Jacob. Yeah. I don't know why my mind just went blank then. But their banter, the little snipping at each other, was just like, he's like, "Hi, I'm here."
The way she kept referring to him as Ghost.
Yeah. And I loved, I know we're skipping
I love
around a
that
bit, but
didn't stop after the first book either. Like,
No,
Ghost
hello,
just
Ghost.
became my nickname.
yeah,
loved
I
it.
did like that as she really started to warm to him near the end and see him more as a friend than Ghost. Like she like slipped in and used his name or and then, you know, she sort of warmed to him. And I liked that side of it, but I'm glad that it wasn't like instantaneous because she had very strict, like, this is what we're supposed to do, this is how we do it. And the fact that she was just like totally eye rolling, and the fact that Cassidy didn't even know what she was supposed to be doing. She thought she just had this ability just for shits and giggles, like, oh, let's go through the veil because this is fun to make myself feel dizzy. Like,
She's having a look about, wasn't she? She's having a look about.
Having a look about until she feels a bit dizzy, and she's like, "Woohoo, let's get out of here!" It's like she had no inkling, like she had no thought process. Like, maybe there's a reason for this. Like, what does this mean? She's like, no, let's just walking out of here with a ghost that I'm not supposed to be attached to, but I am. Like, she was so oblivious, bless her.
I found the quote.
Yeah. Go on.
Just to make me feel happy at the fact I get to repeat it. I shoved the last of my things into my suitcase and set on the lid to make it close. I was supposed to be packing for the beach. Bathing suits and shorts and sunscreen in a summer without hauntings. Instead, I've shoveled sweaters and boots into my bag. According to the weather app on my phone, Scotland's definition of summer is cold and rainy with a chance of hail. I defrosted my car this morning. Like, we literally have not got out of October and I'm defrosting my car. Like, this is just, it was perfect. I literally was cackling.
That line reminded me, even though I've not seen the film, Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs. In my head, it was like Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs. I don't know why. I've never seen the film. But the thing that let this down for me, I think, and I know that I need to get this out of my head because it's a middle grade, but I didn't really feel attached to Cassidy. Like, I loved Jacob, and I don't know why I loved Jacob so much. And I loved Lara, but I just didn't feel attached to Cassidy. And as a main character, I personally feel I should feel attached to the amount of pop culture references, especially the turf we do not discuss, was just...
Although we will discuss that.
That was just in the first book. It did die down in the second and third book, I have to admit. Maybe that's part of the reason why I gave it more. But it was just, I think if it had been any, even if it wasn't the turf being mentioned in the books that she wrote, I still, if it was constant pop culture references, I don't like that in any book. Like, it's not necessarily that particular person or whatever. It's the fact that it was just, it seemed when I was reading it, it was like every other page also there was some kind of reference. I know it wasn't that regular, but it felt like it was just one after the other, and I was just, it kept pulling me out of the story. Like, do you need this many like pop culture references? You don't, to build a story.
I think the thing is though, it wasn't pop culture references. We can say what it was Harry Potter. And the thing with Harry Potter is that at the time that the first book was written, that felt like it was going to be timeless. Like, there would never be a time where seeing Harry Potter in a book would feel weird, because everybody loves Harry Potter. It was, you know, going to be around forever and everyone was always going to love it. And no matter what, how many years went past, kids that age were still going to be reading Harry Potter. And then obviously what happened. But V. Schwab couldn't have known that. She didn't have a crystal ball.
No.
And at the time when these books were written, it felt like it was a safe bet because 12-year-olds all were reading and loving Harry Potter.
Yeah.
So it
And
felt
also-
like it wouldn't age the book because for like 50 years that could still be the case. And kind of that age of kids, when they're like nerdy, we all were like that. We all had a house. We all, you know, used to see which house are you, which one do you fit, and people used to have it in their like Twitter bios. And unfortunately, J.K. Rowling turned out to be a piece of shit, and we are where we are. But these things have already been written.
I don't blame Schwab for that at all.
No,
But,
and it's like one of those things where you're
just
like, you
annoying
look on it
that
with hindsight. You look at it with hindsight, and you're like, oh God, I wish you hadn't have done that, because now, like, it's a, you know, it's,
I mean,
every time you read it, it's a bit like, oh.
I can't say anything because I have been in the Elephant House purely because of the fact that's where it was written. I have sat in there and looked out the window and have seen the view of the castle that you get from that window, which is where she wrote it. And you can see exactly how she could picture Hogwarts from that window. Like I did that when I was at uni because I had grew up with Harry Potter for like 10 years by that point. Like I understand why. And I think that was part of the reason again why I didn't like it, because the other two weren't linked to Harry Potter. So you didn't get the references. Yes, you got the odd comment about the house or the Jake, you've now made me confused.
Wanting to read the books.
Well, it wasn't even the reading the books, it was the misnaming everyone purposefully was making me giggle, because it was so funny, and that has aged okay. But the amount in the first book didn't. And again, I think that's because Edinburgh, very heavily linked. And as Jem says, 5 years ago, we would have never known. Like 5 years ago, I wasn't a reader because I was still role-playing Harry Potter shit. Like, it was my whole existence for the past. I mean, I started doing that when I was 12. So that's 22 years ago, 21, almost 22 years ago, that I fell deeply down the internet for Harry Potter. Only came out very recently. But yeah, now it's a bit jarring, and I kind of wonder if they had the ability to rewrite it, would they?
Yes, it's an interesting point, because I kind of feel like it was included to kind of like draw younger kids in, and like give them something to relate to these characters by, like, because she's Ravenclaw, but maybe she's a little bit Slytherin, and she's Gryffindor, but maybe, you know, he's a little bit whatever. And I think it was like kind of giving them a way to connect to the characters. Not necessarily the best way to make someone connect to your characters, but I can see what Schwab was going for. Because like it's middle grade audience. Here's like the biggest middle grade into YA fantasy that's ever existed at the time. Everybody loves it. Great. Let's link that up together, especially as we were writing the first one set in Edinburgh, where it was literally written. We can do this whole thing about it. And once you've kind of like made that an important part of your character, you can't just go, right, we'll never mention it again. Because you've made it an important part that she's that she identifies as a Gryffindor and talks about it, and him like not understanding it. So it's kind of like get why they did it. If they were looking at it now, maybe they wouldn't have done it. If they were writing it now, they wouldn't do it. Wouldn't do it.
I think it does make me feel a little bit more uncomfortable because it's that. But generally, if I read a book, I can't pinpoint specifically which books now, but in the past I have read books that have had, like, you know, popular things of the time in it, or like, sometimes with urban fantasy, like when they mention like actual pop stars or like music stars or whatever, it pulls me out of the book. I don't like it. If I'm reading a fantasy book, I want to be in a fantasy world. Like, don't bring me into the real world. If I want to read something in the real world, I'll read a contemporary or read a magical realism or something that's I know is set in the real world. But like in any kind of fantasy, any kind of reference to anything remotely real, it drags me, it pulls me out. Even if it's something as simple as the name of a fruit or whatever. Like, I like the fact that in different fantasy worlds they have different names for things. Like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's for me. It does make it difficult. Like, to when they cross that boundary, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I suppose the only difference is that this is meant to be set in our world, so it's not meant to be a fantasy world. And it's for me, because I totally understand where you're coming from, because I don't like it either. Like if I'm reading an urban fantasy and it starts referencing, like, I don't know, I can't think of any Ariana Grande.
Yeah,
I was like, I was about to say Jedward. Jedward's not popular. Jedward's never been popular. But for some reason, that's what I was going to say.
Well, they're on TV and adverts now, so.
But like, if we start talking about like Ariana Grande or like Taylor Swift, I would be like. But if they mentioned Lord of the Rings, no problem, because Lord of the Rings has been around for a really long time, and I think that we expected that with Harry Potter, which is why it kind of like it bothered me because of what it was, but I can understand like why, and it probably if J.K. Rowling had never revealed the dark side of her, and they're just like, you know, if she just fucked off, then it probably wouldn't have bothered me as much for it being in there, because it felt like a very similar thing where like in a 50, 60, 70 years, people would still be reading it to their kids. And also she's ruined it. But yeah.
Yeah, I think
that's all we'll say on that subject.
Yeah, I do agree with everything you said there, and but I think that because of that really did affect my reading, and because it pulled me out of the story so much.
Add one thing to that, just to say that Andy's ratings have come through to me, and she rated the first one at 2.5. And then 4 for exactly all the reasons we've just said.
Yeah, but like I said, the references, like the references in the second two books, like I do
they
understand
were so
that
much.
You can't just
they were
write
so much
them out.
less,
But I do like the fact that it sounds really hypocritical, but I like the fact that it didn't just totally drop it. It was there. It's there now. It's out in the ether. It's fine. Well, it's not fine, but it's fine. But the fact that it was still sort of mentioned that like he could never pronounce the names, and he does want to read the books and stuff. And I do think that kind of referencing isn't as much of a big deal, regardless. Like I said, even if it wasn't talking about Turf Lady, it would be fine with regards to anything like that. And I think that little hint of like relating it kind of
I don't know which way is the right way of holding these. Sorry, that's why I keep
and I suppose it was kind of like understandable for it to be more prevalent in the first one because of where it was set and the fact that it was written there. So it kind of makes sense. I can't remember when she first started to show her turfism, but I think that most of them, if not all of them, were written before.
That's what I'm trying to
before that happened.
Say. That's why I'm doing this. This one's 2019 pre-pandemic, so 1 and 2 were pre-pandemic. This one's 2021, and she started in the middle of the pandemic. So this would have been
definitely
being
less
written
of it in that one.
Yeah,
and she would have been editing this by the time. But yeah, the first 2 are both written and published before.
Yeah.
So that's why I literally just looked while you guys were talking. I love that our brains went to the same thing. My brain went, I'm the one that has the books. Let's have a look.
I know that Schwab used to, because I get the like the monthly newsletter, and it used to be that she would talk about her Slytherin traits, and then that has died off, I think, as well. So it was also a big part of Schwab. Like, they used to talk about like their Slytherin traits and that.
Apart.
Yeah, so like used to wrote it into her story, and then unfortunately, she who must not be named did her deeds.
Yeah,
did her
when
words.
it comes to the other aspects of the book, so the friendship side of it, and we'll come on to like the more spooky sides after, but the friendship side of it, between her and Jacob initially, and then when Lara came into the picture, how did you feel about them as like as a twosome and as like a three person, and they'll say the wrong thing then, as a 3-person collective.
3-person collective, a trio,
Yes, that
a duo, and a trio are the words you're looking
Yes.
for.
How did you feel about Jacob and Cassidy and their rules of friendship, like Rule 84, Rule 55?
That was cute, although I don't think they remembered what number their rules really were. She's kind of shouting out a random number.
I loved that though, because that's such a kid thing to do. He's just like, Rule 155.
Yeah, they were cute. They had a good little bond. Yeah, they were. I liked their friendship a lot. There was a lot of support there, and I like the fact that it wasn't just like easy either.
Yeah.
Like as he got stronger, it put more of a strain on it. But then that friendship was always there, always real, because you kind of like start to, in like the second and third book, you start to question it. And I at one point remember thinking, is he a villain? Like the first time I read it, I was like, is he a villain? And then I was like so glad that it was just like him freaking out about how powerful he was getting and not wanting to tell her the truth, but then because he didn't want her to know about how he died, because then she would only think of him as being dead. Like he wasn't a fucking ghost.
Yeah.
my boy, please. You are
She can
literally
see you, man.
only visible to her.
And then,
but yeah, I thought it was cute that it was kind of like getting stuck in his own head and not wanting to tell her, but then kind of coming to that realization that he should, in case he went the same way as the little boy in the second one, whose name escapes me. But yeah, in case he forgot what happened, and he needed her to be able to tell him, and then like
Thomas?
Might have been,
No,
yeah.
Was that the brother?
Yeah, that might have been the brother.
That was like
Oh yeah, that's the brother that he was trying. Oh, I love that I actually opened it on a page that had a name on it though.
So for me, I really I don't think it mentioned his name, did it?
Yeah, it did.
I do like the fact that just from the beginning you saw that he was wanting to be able to knock things over, because he wanted to, wanted to be a bit mischievous in that way. And I like the fact that she wasn't blind to the fact that he was changing, but also she didn't totally disconnect from him, and like, although he could read her mind anyway, so there was no way she could hide anything from him. It was the fact that she was genuinely. It does, doesn't it?
Right.
She was genuinely worried about him, but she didn't want to lose him as a friend. So
it
was kind of like a bit of both. Like she didn't want him to get too powerful that he ends up causing harm to himself or anyone else. But she wanted to keep him as a friend at the same time, and you could tell that she was conflicted about that. And I was so worried when was it book 2 where she woke up and he was like there was like all these things, stuff swirling around, and I thought like obviously he was freaking out, and it was like moving things. It was like that bit was horrible. I was like, I thought he was going to hurt her at that point, because she couldn't get through to him even though she was shouting to him, and that broke my heart. Then in that one, I felt so sorry for the kid.
Yeah,
bless little cotton socks.
I mean, bless him. He's died at like what 12, the same as her. The same age as her now, and he's he was just a nerdy little kid, he liked
to read comic
books, and he just wanted to make sure that his little brother wasn't upset, and it's just so tragic what happened to him. And he's what I think upsets me the most about Jacob is that he could never bring himself, or he hasn't so far. I don't know if there's going to be more books or whatever, but in the time that we've spent with him, he's not had the courage, or maybe not even courage. He's not gone back to see his family, because he doesn't want to see how they're getting on without him, because either way it's going to be shit, because either they're like broken and then he's like got to carry that with him, or they're doing okay, which will also still hurt.
Yeah.
To know that they've kind of like grieved and moved on. Like there's no like, in a way it's really good that he didn't go back, because obviously that's, you know, if you believe in that sort of stuff, which I think all three of us do. Yeah. So like that's how you get like a disgruntled spirit, is when they stay at a house and they can't move on. And if he'd gone back, it very well could have like got stuck there and wouldn't be like Jacob like he is. He would be like maybe a bit more malevolent, because he would be like not able to move on because everyone else had, almost, if that makes sense. So
so it's like he was in the between place, and he only came back because he was saving her, and that's why he's entangled with her. And that's why he's in the position he is, not because he had unfinished business. It was just, you know, he decided
he
to
was saving her.
He was being a hero again.
Yeah.
Poor boy. Sorry, I was muting myself earlier because Eden was having a proper hissy fit, and I didn't want you to hear her.
Yeah, I heard.
I was trying to like stop it, but it did not work.
I forgot to mute that.
We rock at this, okay?
I'm still trying to figure out this bloody kid's name. It's going to really irritate me.
I've given up on life. So, which was your favourite place that they were located? Are they gonna
New Orleans!
I knew you were going to say that.
New Orleans. The way I want to go and live there.
No, I am right. It is Thomas, excuse me. I think.
I thought it was the brother. No, you're right, yeah.
When they go searching for him, they're calling Thomas.
Yeah.
So I must be right.
You are right.
So, Tori, what was your favourite place?
I think also New Orleans.
Same.
Probably because the thought of getting trapped in this and being caught underneath bones is fucking terrifying.
You don't understand that my bucket list includes the Paris Catacombs.
I do, because I can probably draw you up a list of some of the places on that fucking list of yours. But that's a no for me. However,
you know what? The top of my list, Poveglia Island in Italy. It is a plague island. I was also an asylum. Just let me go to the spooky island.
Is prison San Francisco,
Alcatraz?
Island. Thank you. I was like, you're going to know exactly what I'm on about. And I'm also going to bet that if you could get there, if you go to Queensferry, and so basically do this book, wherever the fuck she's been, and then go up to Queensferry, there is also an island there in the Forth.
Is there?
Yeah.
Send me a link.
You can do.
She can put it on her bucket list.
You can do boat tours up the Forth, and it stops.
Yeah. I was actually supposed to do pretty much everything in the first book for my 30th.
Oh.
But then COVID happened. So no haunted cemeteries or underground cities for me.
Well, can we talk about her parents? I mean, in this one, the parents were total plebs, but like abandoning her. Like in a lot of Scribd books, the parents are either like absentees or absolute assholes. But like,
they actually paid attention. They realized when she went missing.
But her mum was away with the fairies a little bit, and her dad was very much like, I mean, there's a believer and then there's a mum. Do you know what I mean?
As a mother, can I just say the amount of times that those parents let her go off with people they had known for mere hours in cities they did not know was concerning.
They were guides, though. They were guides.
Yeah, but they don't know them. Like, they're just some rando. And they just wander off with other children in cities that they had never been to.
Fair. When she wanders off with Lara, she's like, great to see my aunt here. They're like, okay, have fun.
What about that random little kid in Paris? Oh yeah, come to the catacombs with us. I'm sure it'll be fine.
Her mum was a bit like
Adele.
she just popped up. She just popped up like, my mum won't talk to you, but I will, and I'm just gonna walk into this really scary place with you. Woo!
See, I have some I grew up in the country. I'm like Jem. I was never like on a bus until I was like X years old. I think the first time I ever got on a bus by myself to get into the city, I think I was about 14 or 15, and that was like all of us had to meet at the bus stop with like all of the parents, and then we all got like back on the bus and had to come back together, and it was like safety in numbers. But like Richie is a city guy or a city kid, and he was been on and off buses since he was probably about 6, 7, something like that, running around and being an absolute tit with his mates, because I know what his mates are like. I didn't know them at that age, but I can guarantee you. Now, granted, Aberdeen is not Edinburgh or Paris, but considering the general attitude of kids that grow up in the city versus kids that grow up in the country, I can kind of see, especially in Edinburgh, because Edinburgh, I feel safer in Edinburgh than I do in Aberdeen. Like, I can understand them just being so used to walking around and getting on a bus or like getting on a tram or whatever. But Paris, no. Paris is fucking crazy. I almost got run over going around like the arch.
I mean,
I have missed the worst parents. Lara's. I mean, the girl literally was supposed to fly back to Edinburgh, just flew to New Orleans instead. No one noticed. Changed her own flight. Fucked off she used her parents' credit card. No one noticed. Just arrived in New Orleans unaccompanied. Hello.
There was the Aberdeen parents robbed us so well.
She can't
like.
They can't.
I get the whole. You can get on a flight and be like monitored by the flight attendants, but surely they need some form of fucking parent sign off to say, I know my kid is getting on this plane, and this is the person that is collecting them at the other side. Like one of my best friends at primary, their family's in America, and her and her sisters used to take it turn around. So like every 2 years, her and one sibling would go, and then the next, like the other two would go, and they would rotate. And I used to be so jealous of the fact that she could just like go from Aberdeen to the other side of the world, and like hostesses and flight attendants and shit would just be in charge of them and just wouldn't care. Like, that still blows my mind.
I wish someone would still do that with me now. Like, walk me to my plane, make sure I get on the right one, because I'm always very stressed. Like, is this the right plane? Are we in the right terminal? Are we in the right airport?
I mean,
where are we meant to be? Are we here?
They were worried about her, and they did sort of say like, you shouldn't do that. But and I know that I have to praise them for not being absolute plebs, but they were kind of forgetful. Like, she'd just gone missing, she just got into trouble, and they were like stern, like, don't get into trouble. And then, they, like you said, they just let her go off with some random people, and they let this random girl tag along, and they just believed whatever everybody told them. And I'm just like, okay, these are not suspicious people at all, and you're just believing what they're saying.
She literally collapsed in Paris. She collapsed. And then they were just like, random tour guide, please take her back to the hotel alone. Now, I know that he was a good guy, but we don't do that with our children, people. Okay? Do we need to bring back the advert, do you know where your children are?
Probably.
To be honest, though, Pauline I thought she was some kind of fucking weird. Because the fact that she was so like, I don't believe it, she was so sort of snippy. I thought she was actually some kind of, I thought she was going to be behind some kind of, like some of the bad stuff. Obviously, I know that it was to do with like ghosts and stuff, but I don't, she was just so dodgy. Like, why was she so scared about saying she believed? And then she like holding this thing to her, like, I was like, why? Why was there any need for you to be that way? Just say yes, you believe, or no, you don't. Just like you've got a skeptic stood right in front of you, and then someone who like clearly believes. So it doesn't really matter what side of the spectrum you're on. It doesn't. I just didn't understand the point of her acting the way that she did. She was just very secretive about the fact that she believed, and she was just like, "Meh, no, you're weird."
That was genuinely probably the worst one though, because like in the second one, they kind of knew. In the first one, sorry, they knew the person running the Airbnb or the B&B.
Yeah.
Lara was there, and you know they were kind of like close by. In the last one, he was supposed to just take her back to the hotel. In the middle one, they were like, yes, please take my daughter to this random person's address so that she can question them about something that we don't even know why she's doing it for. Yes, that seems perfectly fine.
It made me laugh. But she took her there
Makes so
just
much
to prove a
sense.
point. She did say
her.
she was like, I knew she wouldn't speak to you. She's like, she just took her there for no fucking reason to prove a point that this French woman would not speak to her, and then this French woman's little girl just followed her.
Yeah, I don't know which part's more creepy, the fact that a random woman took her to a random woman's address, or a random kid followed another random kid away from her own home.
Well, the fact that all the parents just seem to be letting it happen. Like, yes,
Also,
please do
really
that.
random, but you just mentioned the fact that in this one, obviously we've got Lara, and Lara's granda
Yeah, the
happens to
first
be a
one. Yeah.
ghost.
Uncle,
Yeah.
Uncle,
isn't it?
great uncle, great
Yeah,
uncle,
something like
happens to be a ghost. After Lara has told her over and over and over again that she should not have a friend who is a
She
ghost.
was like, nah, but that's
It's
different.
okay. It's okay because he was on the other side of the veil, so it's fine.
Yeah. It was yeah, it's fine.
And I'm just
Loophole.
like,
It's her relative that actually lived in that hotel when he was alive. And
Loophole.
he's on the other side of the veil, just like looking after shit in his own
Yeah.
little world. It's fine. She doesn't have to send him on, even though they cross the veil to send people on. But it's fine because it's not outside of the parameter of where he used to live, and also it's related to her, so there's total exception to the rule there. I was just like, I'm glad
I
that
love
she
kid
didn't.
logic, and I think Scribd did kid logic so well in this book.
Mm-hmm.
It's like girl math, innit?
We love girl
Oh,
math.
I saw Bestie Math
Nerd
the other
math's the
day, and it
best.
is my favorite thing ever.
All the math just to get away with doing some things we're not really supposed to do.
Yeah.
But yeah, book 2 was probably my least. And I know in setting, and it was probably my least favorite. Like I said, obviously we know why book 2 got a lower rating, but in the setting, it was probably my least favorite. Setting wise, I loved the Edinburgh setting. I loved the the vibes. And it was, for me, it wasn't like massively spooky. It was kind of like not eerie. It was enough for a kid, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Obviously, in middle grade, you don't want it to be too scary. It didn't sort of like scare me or me. It was kind of unsettling at times, and like when we go into book 3, and there's the whole situation on the bridge, and we're not sure if we're going to lose Jacob. That was kind of like, but that's just because I don't trust Schwab as a writer. I don't trust any author to give me the happy ending, and I don't care if it's middle grade, YA, adult, whatever. I don't trust authors. So then I couldn't guarantee at that point that Jacob was gonna make it through. I thought he was just gonna stay on the other side of the veil.
I've never felt a
Um,
statement so much in my life while I couldn't say anything to agree.
Okay, let's just very quickly rank from best to worst setting. Not book, not anything, just the setting.
Bottom Paris, second Edinburgh, first New Orleans.
Correct.
I would go the other way. Edinburgh, Paris, New Orleans. But again, I don't know how much that's being influenced by me though.
Yeah.
But I genuinely preferred the catacombs and Paris more than.
I just feel
is
like
valid, even though it's wrong.
Everyone's entitled to their opinion.
We are. What's yours?
Wrong.
I agree with Lisa. New Orleans, Edinburgh, Paris. Although I do love the catacombs, but Edinburgh, I've always wanted to go to. And New Orleans is New Orleans.
My biggest issue about the first one was that we lost a good. Well, where's part one start? Hold on. So we lost a good 70 to 80 pages before we got to Edinburgh, because obviously it was the start of the story. We needed to have an actual background. So in Edinburgh, I know that we went to like Mary King's Close, but Edinburgh seemed more a case of I don't know, it was more like lots of places in the city, which I get because it's City of Ghosts and like the whole city is haunted. But I like the fact that these two were more, you focus more on like one thing.
Now you confused me, because I thought you were saying that Edinburgh was your favourite setting.
No, other way around.
Edinburgh's bottom.
Edinburgh's bottom.
Said it the other way around. So
Right,
Edinburgh's
okay.
bottom, Paris and New Orleans is top.
Right, okay. That's fine. I thought you were saying New Orleans was like your least favourite setting. That's why I was like, wrong.
Dude, I literally have been complaining about Edinburgh as a setting since we started.
I was very confused.
No, Edinburgh worst, then Paris, then New Orleans.
Okay, that's fine. That's
See, for me, New Orleans is just give me any book set in anything set in New Orleans. Like NCIS New Orleans, I'm on it. It might be the shittest, cheesiest series and a total rip-off of NCIS and like totally not as good, but it's set in New Orleans. The accent, the vibe, like the spooky voodoo-ish vibe that it gives, no matter what. The one thing that you can always guarantee when something's set in New Orleans is you're gonna get some spooky voodoo shit, like some witch doctor kind of southern, just fantasticness. And I that for me is just the vibe. And if I could go to New Orleans and like experience, even if it was just for Mardi Gras, just so I could experience Mardi Gras, and I would like to meet a witch doctor. I don't want them to do anything.
I love that you instantly are like, no.
No, that sounds really wrong. But to keep the hands to themselves, like, just don't do any voodoo shit, because I don't want that bad juju on me or near me. But I would like to just walk into a shop.
I don't know if that wording was any better, Lisa, but we're going with it.
I would like to just walk into one of those shops where they have everything out on the shelves, and you can just feel the New Orleans-ness of it all. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I know that Andy would agree with me when I tell you to read The Casket Girls. I am begging you to read The Casket Girls.
I'm going to read. I'm going to buy The Casket Girls and read The Casket Girls.
Did you not buy Andy Casket Girls for her birthday?
I think so.
I'm sure you did. I'm sure you bought her book too.
Yeah, probably, because I've read the first two books and I was listening to them on audiobook and they were so good. The audiobooks were so good, and then they didn't make them for 3 and 4. So I now need to go back because I was waiting for the third audiobook to come out, and I've admitted it's not coming out. I've just had to accept it. Thank you, Andy. Thank you. Read The Casket Girls.
Andy, Andy just went, poof, I hear. Literally, shouldn't say hi, shouldn't say anything else. Did we not actually mention the Casket Girls in this? Was there not like a...
There is a mention of the convent, which is it's a real story. The convent is a real thing, so they mention it in that, the one where they came over with caskets and everyone thought they were vampires. Yeah, so it's mentioned in that. I only knew about it
because of the one that's over there. I can't point far enough for Andy. Which is
it's also mentioned in The Beautiful, which I got rid of without reading. Because I'd already read The Casket Girls and it felt too similar, and I liked The Casket Girls too much. I didn't read The Beautiful. Sorry, whoever wrote that. Was it Renee Adier or something?
Renee Adier, yeah.
Yeah, I gave that away. Apologies. But Arden did it first, so. And I love that series.
I
Even
do
though
want
they're
to,
first two.
like, honestly though, like, I think you could probably give me a really badly written book, and if the vibes of New Orleans, but if you give me the vibes, I'll rate it highly anyway. If the vibes are done well, just
Yeah.
because
I mean, you should definitely read the Casket Girls because not only are the vibes immaculate, but the writing's really good too. So, I mean, it's even better for you. You don't even need to read something shit.
It sounds really weird though, but like for me, if you're gonna do a setting of a place, then you need to get the vibes right. Even if like, especially if you're setting it in, in our kind of world, and
I knew
especially
that
with somewhere like
Andy was coming.
Cassidy Girls, Cassidy Blake, Mina. But I think definitely like give me any book that's got New Orleans vibes done right, and I'm gonna enjoy it, even if even if the writing's shit.
Casket Girls.
I'm going to read it. It's on my wish list. All 4 books are on my wish list to get. So
I do need to reread the first 2 so that I can continue the series. Which means I unfortunately have to buy books 2 and 3. So sad.
I love that this is like me whenever somebody's like, I need a thriller or a horror book, and I'm like, Psalm 100 technically counts. Zombies. Fucking hilarious.
Zombies.
Life crisis-ness, but zombies.
Casket Girls is also on Scribd. Sorry, we're getting off piece here, but Casket Girls is on Scribd.
As I say, only the first 2 have audiobooks, but they are fantastic audiobooks. They are so good. And I was really gutted that they didn't do, like when, because it's got like more than one author, it's got like a female author and a male author, and they're both fantastic. And there was one, because I listened to the second one. I know that we're not supposed to be talking about this, but I listened to the second one purely as, yes. I listened to the second one purely as an audio, and the male narrator in that literally made me cry. With the amount of emotion that he put into something. It was so good. And I don't cry at audiobooks.
Wow.
Very, 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 very rarely.
For New Orleans.
Yeah, she didn't like Mina for New Orleans setting.
No.
Okay, so my next question to read that. I know. My next question is ratings for the individual book plots, not the overarching plot, but the individual little section stories. If that made any kind of sense.
Bottom is Edinburgh. The first City of Ghosts. Second, Tunnel Bones. Top would be Bridge of Souls. The plot. For content. Hey, look, I made you some content.
In that one, I really liked the whole thing of the boy playing hide and seek and getting stuck. Like, absolute nightmare. Cannot imagine it happening. Like, hate the thought of it happening. But it made me, like, want to read on and, like, try to figure out how to save the kid.
Mm-hmm.
So I think probably Paris top, then New Orleans, and then Edinburgh.
Yeah. So, hang on. Gotcha. That has been flying around my face for like the last hour for doing my editing. I would also put the story for book 2 as my favourite. There's something about like a poltergeist story that I just love anyway. And I liked the like trying to figure out what happened to him and how to remind him of it and how they set him free. Like getting Jacob to dress up as his brother. It's brilliant. Loved it. Loved everything about it. Literally stealing clothes from a ghost across the veil. Brilliant. Love everything about it.
And
it's my favourite thing to ever happen.
I just love the fact that when he didn't come out, they just started counting. And then he was too curious that he like peeked out and like got pulled in. And the fact that it started out just trying to get their attention. Like, yeah, there was something about book 2.
Yeah. It's like that thing of like trying to remind him that he was dead and having to like let him know. And then I genuinely am not sure. I think it would next be New Orleans, but here's my one and only issue with the third book is that because we were doing the whole thing about I can't remember what it's called, but the creature coming to take her over, like take her back to the other side, we didn't really get like a good New Orleans ghost story. And they kept mentioning the I can't remember what the exact thing is, but the Axe Jazz murderer. Yeah. One of my favourite New Orleans stories. And they just mentioned it a couple of times and then she got rid of him. And I was like, can we not maybe just, like there's some really dark stuff in, and I get why it's not good for a middle grade, but like what about the woman who had her slaves locked in the attic? Also a real story, also a real ghost story. And I just felt like we were kind of like given little tidbits and then we didn't really get like to delve deeper into it. And they didn't even have to like use a real one. They could have just like made something else like with the other two. I really like the
Lady in Scarlet from Edinburgh, or the Scarlet Singer wifey was really creepy, and like it totally really felt like a
proper ghost story.
What do you call it? Like a Pied Piper moment where her voice, like a siren Pied Piper equivalent, where like regardless of what they wanted to do, they couldn't free themselves, and like that was creepy. Don't get me wrong. I didn't hate the Edinburgh story. Like I'm not saying I did. I happened to get pulled out of the story more because it was set in Edinburgh. Yeah, if that makes sense. But the actual story and the fact it was like in Greyfriars Cemetery, like the places that Schwab picked were very, very central. Like I'm not saying that they weren't the right places to pick because they really were. They were very, very, very close. Because it literally goes Greyfriars, the Elephant House, the Royal Mile, down. Like I could picture everything that she was going on about. It just because I've been there, it becomes real life for me, and I don't read too many things set places where I've been because I just end up being.
The thing is, though, I say that I don't like things that if I'm reading something about real life, I like it, but when it comes to ghost stories, and as much as they freak me out, it made me want to go and read some actual ghost stories. And again, off topic, but I think my friend, me and my mate at the weekend, we watched some things about like people like having like paranormal experiences, and it does make like reading stuff like this does make me want to go and like seek out those kinds of stories. But also, I feel like if I did that and delved too much into that, I would like shit myself and like just like hide in a corner. Because I
Jam's like, hi, you can come with me.
But it does.
Why don't you come to Alcatraz with me? It'd be great.
So many real stories. I was like, that's interesting. I'd like to learn more about that. But then I'm like, would I? I would have just scared myself into oblivion and like just not want to leave my house and like leave my lights on 24/7. Like, would that be the result of me doing that? But then it made me. Every time they mention something and a story, I'm like, oh, is that one real? And can I look up more about that? Or is that made up just for this? But it definitely made me more intrigued to like look into different ghost stories or different stories for each of the areas that we visited. Like genuinely made me interested in like the history of hauntings in those areas. But I don't think I have the lady balls to actually go and read any real stories around those areas. I just had the thought that I would like
you
to.
Say that, but you've been growing your lady balls this year.
I'm sure we could find you some podcasts.
You've been reading more and more. I think you're almost ready for some real. I think you're almost ready for Project Fear. No, you're not ready for Project Fear.
No.
I take that back. That was a stupid thing to say.
I'm definitely not.
They brought a new episode out on Friday and I didn't know that it was coming out, and I got a notification and I was like, drop everything. Danny was like sleeping before work and I was like, well, I'm watching Project Fear. It's great. Love it.
I think give me a bit more time and I might grow my lady balls to a point where I can read a real ghost story or watch
and your lady ball growing ability.
So I have a question.
What about ladyballs?
Nope, I'm pulling us back to these.
Oh,
Maybe
boo.
for now. We might get distracted again. Name your favorite or rank your favorite tour guide.
Oh,
Because I know mine. But you two first.
I don't remember any of their names.
neither do
No,
I. But I'd say
just give me
New
the books.
Orleans,
It's fine.
Edinburgh, Paris.
New Orleans, Edinburgh, Paris.
Just,
Yeah.
but again,
We
it's
match.
his voice. It's the way that he acts. But it's kind of like, I don't believe in ghosts. But then he works with the society, and he's just like, well, I'm a historian. They just
I'm
happen
innocent.
For a paranormal
Yeah.
society.
Yeah.
Half of you are on the other side of the veil, but I'm a historian.
But I think it's just the voice. Give me that voice done well. Not everyone could do a southern accent, but do the New Orleans accent. Like it's a very specific, the very specific accent and a specific tone, and it needs to be done right. And the narrator for this book did the accent so well.
Also,
Just
not
enough
only
flavor in it, and it was just so good.
did they do his accent right, they did Finley's accent right, who was the Scottish tour guide.
Yes.
I
For
love
once,
him.
someone does a Scottish accent and sounds fucking Scottish and not like, oh my god.
Not like me.
Can I just say what I love most about Finley is that he did what I think is a very British thing. He bought his dead mate a pint at the pub.
Yep.
Yes.
Don't want him to go thirsty in the afterlife. So I always get two. One for him, one for me.
I loved that. I bloody loved that. But that is such... That is
It's such a Scottish thing as well, though.
I think it's such a rural thing as well. I know that Edinburgh is not rural, but like it's such like a country thing to do. Is like got to buy my dead mate a pint. Like it's such a
But also,
like, you know, one for me and
pint,
one, tip it out on his grave and all that kind of stuff. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
The pint was empty, guys. When they
I reckon
left, the
Cindy
pint
had a
was
straw
empty. Under the table, two connected together.
It was one of those twirly straws.
Nah, I reckon he came and drank it really, really like sneakily, like just like, right, I'm not gonna do it.
It's distracting
It
every
wasn't
story.
corporeal at all, but you know, had no ability to
Either that, or there's a drunk Scotsman on the table beside that's going like, "We free pint, yeah, it's your mate."
But yeah, what did you think of the overall ending of the series? Like, were you happy with how it ended? Do you think it could have been done differently?
Yeah, I think. Hang on, I wrote something in my review the first time. I went back and read my reviews, and I was like, "Oh, look, you used to write reviews. Remember that?"
What, you don't just do star ratings, you know? You used
No,
to
I
actually write
wrote
things in the
stuff.
box.
Actual things, words.
Oh
Maybe
my
just
god!
random letters. I know.
Oh my god!
I know. Oh, that's not my review. That's the description of the book. Oh, there's no review here. I'm very confused because I definitely had a review. Just talk amongst yourselves for a second, guys. I'm just trying to figure this shit out.
You're just going to read someone else's review.
No, I definitely had a review. Did I accidentally delete it? Nah.
Possibly. When you've updated your rating, you might have.
I ain't even done that yet.
Oh.
Oh, another edition. Is it under there? I knew I'd read a review, you cheeky little bastards. So I said not a lot, but I did say that even though I hope there will be more Cassidy Blake books, this does feel like coming full circle, and I loved it.
Yeah.
Oh, and also I lied because I said my favourite in the series so far. Will there be more? I don't know, but I hope so. It's not my favourite. No, it is my favourite in the series. I didn't lie. It's okay.
I was gonna say British films is your
You've
favorite.
literally answered New Orleans to basically everything.
I know, but it's because I prefer the little isolated ghost story in the second one. I got myself confused for a second.
That's fair. I like the fact that Jacob and her come like full circle back to a place where they both have learnt, but also still have more learning to do. Because I feel like if they'd come full circle and had completely evolved and had learned everything, you'd be a bit like they're 12 or they're 13. Like, this isn't how anything works. But the fact that they both sacrificed and they both learned, and the fact that Lara like messages are like rule number whatever it is, like stay in touch. Where before obviously every message was like get your shit together, kill the ghost. Like, you know, like they've come full circle from Lara being very much like you need to do this, that, and the next thing it's the job to we're friends, stay in touch. Like,
Yeah,
I
I'm
love the
so
fact
glad.
that came around.
Yeah, I'm glad that
'Cause-
Lara softened at the end. Like, I don't mind like a half-faced bitch just like doing her own damn thing, but I'm a sucker for soppy happy endings, and the fact that she
happy ending.
I'm loving. I did love the fact that
listening.
I did love the fact that she was also like part of the reason why Jacob was freed, because she helped Cassidy pull him through when Cassidy wasn't strong enough, because
teamwork makes the dream work.
That was also a worry. I thought that Lara was going to be like, Cassidy, this is the way it's supposed to be. You need to leave it.
Yeah.
It's time to let him go. And for him to be on the side of the veil that it's supposed to be on. And that for me, I was like, no, pull him through. Like, yeah, no, he's not technically supposed to be there. And the longer he's there, the stronger he grows. So he will grow stronger again, because it's known that, and it was mentioned that he siphons off energy and builds himself up to a more corporeal form the longer that he's on the other side of the veil, and which makes sense. But I still
they're a
wouldn't
little
want him not to.
duology now. You can't have one without the other.
Exactly. They are intertwined and always will be. And now they've got like a little extra person to just go on adventures with in
I
Lara.
loved it. I loved the three of them together.
They were great.
Opinion on where is he? The cat. It's on here somewhere.
Oh, the gimp. What's it called?
Garth? No. Good.
Begins with G. I'm gonna say gimp.
Grim.
It's not gimp, it's grim.
It's gimp.
Grim.
Gimp is a little shit.
I quite liked Grim. I thought he was quite fun. Although I do want to know how she managed to get a cat on a plane in economy.
Yeah. Women baggage area.
Well, the thing is, normally, if you take animals on airplanes, which I know you can do, they have to like isolate and shit. But oh no, he was right there, just in the main compartment, and I was a bit like, really.
Look, suspend disbelief is like an urban style fantasy, but it wasn't real. Okay, it But no, I did like Grim. I do like when animals are involved. No, fucking hell. I do like when animals are in stories and they have a personality.
I thought you were just going to say involved in the plot line, and that would have been fine.
I would just said involved. Just sounded wrong. And I do like when animals that are in books have personalities. And Grim definitely did have a personality. Did have a personality. Jesus Christ. On a bicycle.
I can't hear that without your voice saying on a bicycle at the end of it.
Well, at least if I die, that'll be left with you for the rest of your life. You'll remember me.
My main issue with the cat is why did they take it at all? Well, yeah.
Because it's their cat.
Right. No.
Yeah, but do You just leave it with a neighbour or a family, or you put it in a city. Why are you dragging it across the world?
Because
My
it's an
cats
adventure
don't like
cat.
going to the
on its
vets
own all
5
the
minutes
time.
away.
It's an adventure
Yeah.
cat. It's an adventure cat.
No,
It likes to go on the hauntings with them.
no, it
Haunty,
doesn't, though, does
haunty.
it? It doesn't. It's explained, quite described is the word I'm looking for. It's described quite many times as being a cat that likes to do fuck all.
So he's
He
an
just wants to
Eden
lie
cat.
there and do nothing.
He's
And
an
they're
Eden
like,
cat.
yes,
Oh, he's
put it in
Rollo.
He
a
loves it.
cat carrier and drag it all across the world, and then frame it for a crime in the second one.
That's what he's there for. That is why the cat is there.
That's the only reason, to be
For that
framed
specific
for
reason.
a crime.
Yeah.
But that doesn't explain
ghost
why the
committed.
characters. It explains why it was written in, but it doesn't explain why the characters decided to drag their lazy ass cat all across the world just to leave it in random hotel rooms unattended.
Because they
Yep.
wanted cuddles from their kitty whenever they wanted. And
When
they
did
to
you
fly
ever
back to
see them
America.
hug that cat?
I think Cassidy did once, but got told off for it, very much like Eden and Rollo
That
would tell me.
one cuddle they should get so they could say Grim gave her a look again. So they could reference this cat being a cat and having personality. It was
But if this was
Gem.
real, right? If this was real, and you were going off to film, I mean, okay, take your kid. It's the school holidays, and you take it to family road trip or air trip. But your cat, you just wouldn't do it. Logistically, it's a nightmare.
Maybe they didn't have the money to pay for a kennel or whatever it was that he's supposed to put
So they
in.
paid for an air
Write
fare
it into your
instead.
contract. Just say, sorry, you have to pay for my cat to go into a cattery if we're going to go and film this all over the world.
Well, they didn't even give the daughter any fucking notice. They wouldn't have had time to, they were like,
they knew about it for many months. Tomorrow. They just didn't tell her. It's like that bit in Friends where she's like, well, that's not fair. He was married to Emily a lot less time than he was married to me. He just didn't tell me. That's a similar thing. Do you remember that bit in Friends?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of like that. Like, they knew it was happening. They just didn't tell her.
It's like I know that you know that she knows that we know that they know, but do they know that we know that we know?
They don't know that we know that they know we know.
I love that
you can't say anything. Couldn't do if I wanted to.
I love that you know exactly where I'm on, Jam.
I'm a little bit obsessed with Friends. It's fine.
Yeah, I just, considering the fact that I'm like a 6-7 minute drive from the vets, and both of mine go into absolute meltdowns. Like, Rollo has figured out how to open his carrier by putting his paws through the cage, and is loud, and literally, because I sit him on the passenger seat so I can see him when I'm driving, he like paws at my hand when I'm trying to change the gear. Like, he is a fucking nightmare, but is loud and yells at you for a cat who's normally quiet. Eden, who's normally yelling and loud, goes silent and curls up in the smallest ball possible right at the back of her cage and is as close to me as possible in the vets. Like, I had her there last week, and she like tucks her, like, I was holding her like that, and she tucks her head like in here, and then she was like literally sitting up here with like her face in my neck, and she doesn't normally, like, you guys have heard me when I try pick her up, she doesn't want to be close, and she's loud, and she goes silent and is as close as possible when she's at the vets. So I can't imagine putting either of them in a carrier to just take them on a trip.
We're going on a trip on a big ship that shouldn't fly. Speaking of weird animals.
What is with this fly? Give it up, man.
No, you caught it already.
My nephew has a hamster called Roxy, and because I got weird animals and doing stupid shit, she is a fucking Houdini. She opened the front door of her cage, so she was able to open it and get out. So they stopped her from doing that, and they tied up the door so that she could just flick it open. She then fucking Rambo style, I don't even know what, like climbed out of the top door, was able to push the top door of the cage open and climb out. And then when that was fixed down, she then decided, ever so wise, this hamster of theirs, to eat through the bottom of the fucking cage. So my sister bought this hamster for my nephew because he can't have other types of animals in the house because Mason doesn't like animals and it would cause Mason a lot of distress. So the hamster can be kept in Lucas's room. So she's like, this will be cheap, easy to look after. She then had to spend £100 on this fucking cage that could hold the hamster that she couldn't bite through. They ordered it. They ordered it. And it was supposed to come. And because she wouldn't stay in a hamster ball, she keeps breaking out of a hamster ball. Again, she's fucking Houdini. She had to stay in the bath. So she lived in the bath for like a couple of days till a thing came and it came broken. So then they had to reorder it. So she spent like a week and a half in the bath, living in the bath. Because that's the only place she can live.
How did they take showers?
Obviously when they went for showers,
bath?
like when they showers, Lucas would like just have to hold her. She wouldn't go in a fucking hamster ball. She kept breaking out of it. And if Mason got hold of her, she wouldn't be in a live hamster anymore. He wouldn't do it on purpose, but he likes to squeeze things. That's why he's only got toy furry animals. Because he'll hang them by the tail and he'll be like, like, can't do that with a real one.
You might get attacked.
He's been attacked a few times when my mum and dad used to have cats. But yeah, I don't know. That Grim just reminded me of Roxy. Then I don't know why. Just a little shit, and Roxy's a little shit. But does anyone else have any more thoughts on the series as a whole for our last Swabble of a Ding Dong do?
How was that the end?
It's crazy.
I know.
And do we want to do a Threads of Power live in a few months?
I need to have the space in my TBR to read that, but I'm happy to do it maybe in the new year, maybe. I think give it a few months break because I'm taking a break from after studying drowning. We're taking a couple of months off. It's all about fantasy. We've not got By the Angel Long anymore. If we end this, the only thing I've got going is Christopher Long. I think I've had to drop out of a couple of things that I'd agreed to be a judge for because I just haven't had the capacity. So I don't want to add another book. I'm liking the fact that I can just focus. And I've got to judge like 6 novellas by December. So I think in the new year we could possibly come back to it.
We'll see.
Oh, you'll need to wait till I pull on. Jim, I'm at 12 and 12 because she picked threads for that.
I did.
Oh, Jem.
I got excited.
Maybe
you tell us when you pick it and we'll read it.
Pick threads.
Andy's just messaged me Mission Impossible theme song for the cat climbing along the back of the chair.
Speaking of, there's a new Mission Impossible out soon, isn't there? If it ain't already out. I know some people hate Tom Cruise, but I cannot get enough of Mission Impossible. It is. You can't tell me that Ethan is not just a fucking badass. Tom might be a bit eccentric, and a Scientologist and all that malarkey, but he does all his own fucking stunts, and he broke his own foot for the sake of a stunt. And that sounds stupid.
He didn't need to do them though. There are literally people that train to do that.
Yeah, but he does his own stunts because he's a badass.
Yeah, but then he injured himself, and then they had to pause the filming.
But
they have these people specifically to avoid that.
He's a badass. Maybe
he needs to just calm down a bit. That's what he needs to do. Maybe
it's just Tom's that do their own. Like Tom, what's his face? What? Not Hiddleston, the other one. Holland. He did some of his own stunts as Spider-Man. Not all of them, but a lot of them. So it's like a Tom thing, Tom Cruise. I'm sure Tom Hiddleston does a lot of his own. So does Viggo Mortensen. I don't know who that is.
Aragorn.
Oh.
I can't even mute you. I'm not in control.
I'm sorry. I know.
I like the fact that
know.
we said that in unison in exactly the same tone. One of
I'm a
utter
girl.
disgust. How
I
dare
had
you?
such a crush on him in Return of the King, and I don't even
know
care that I was
actor
15
names
at
to
the time.
faces, okay, I'm shit at actor face to names to faces, and to characters. I'm crap at that. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
Anyway,
I love you anyway.
thank you to Andy and Ashlag for joining us this evening. Thanks to Jem and Tori for
And you.
actually doing this with us when it started out as a fucking joke over a year
Yeah.
ago.
Yeah.
We made a joke and here we are.
Also, I want to say, I made a joke about Massalong as well, and look where the fuck that landed me. So,
No more
I've made
jokes!
more jokes.
I apparently need to stop making jokes about authors who have really big backlist collections.
I'm sure
And
we
then
all
having friends who
kind of
love
joked
them.
about doing a Christopher Long as well. And
Oh,
naming
yeah.
it Christopher Long, and then, you know.
Maybe, let's joke about doing Attack on Titan along.
I mean, Attack on Titan is on.
Maybe I just make everybody read it. Got no chill.
Jem, I think
Repping
we should
the
do
scouts.
a manga read. I think we should do a manga readathon. Let's go.
Mangathon. Wah! That sounds
Let's
manga.
go.
I
Maybe
know.
maybe I'll think of something for the new year.
Maybe.
Never.
But yeah,
Don't
we've
know
read
what's
so
actually-
many books. We have got so many series off our to read lists. For those
My-
of
I
you who
haven't.
haven't read this
I
before.
reread them all.
For those of us two who have never read them before, we put them on and then took them off our series lists. And
remember all those other series I was supposed to read? Nah, just reread Schwab.
oh, despite them not all getting 5 stars, I still had the best time. And I still stand by that Kel and Rye are like some of the favourite sibling relationships I've ever experienced in my life.
It's the best.
You know, fight me on it.
That series is still my favorite. Actually, hold on. Last Schwabbalong. So let's go to Schwabbalong facts rather than Cassidy facts, because we've done them all now and I'm excited.
That was a fucking legend.
Well, yeah. I love that I literally got on my seat because I'm not excited. Favorite series. Go.
Dark Shade of Magic.
Dark Shade of Magic.
I mean,
Andy?
it would have been pretty fucking awkward if it wasn't when we reread it. Can you imagine if I went, well, actually, don't like this series as much as I thought I did. Whoops.
Fuck.
What a shame. Need to get a cover up for my cover up.
Hey, Andy was the correct answer.
Yes. Favorite book from A Darker Shade of Magic.
Conjuring of Light.
Conjuring of Light's mine. Favorite
Just
character?
so much happens in it.
Yeah.
Lila.
I'm with
Oh,
Lila.
Alucard, I don't know.
Cal.
And Lila.
I love Cal so much.
He's a
to be
sad
fair,
boy.
Issues. I have issues when it comes to a sad boy. I can't help it. Okay? I see a sad boy, I must protect them.
A Gathering of Shadows is the second one.
Yeah. To be honest, it is between Cal and Lila. Like, I love them both.
They are just great.
The only person that comes close is Addie.
Yeah. Yeah.
For me.
I can't remember her name, but the girl from Gallant.
Holy shit. Olivia. Is it Olivia? Or is that a different book I've read?
It's when you say Olivia,
No.
I just hear Olivia Jean Morgan, so I can't.
Oh no.
Could very well be her name. Hang on. Yeah, you're right, Olivia.
Yeah.
Right. Not Olivia Jean Morgan at all.
I think though I did love August and Kate from They are
Another
such
sad
an
boy.
underrated duo. That's such an underrated duology. Whenever I've heard Schwab mentioned, it's always Dark Shade of Magic, Dark Shade of Magic, Dark Shade of Magic. And yes, that is like top tier shit, absolute epicness. But people definitely do like underestimate the power of like that duology and what it can do to a person's
Okay,
heart.
so on the back of that,
Also-
most underrated,
That
you would
duology.
say Monster
The Savage
Severity,
Song and I Doubt Duet, yeah.
The Dark Vault.
the Dark Vault. I would go the Dark Vault as well. I love
Because
Monster
I'd heard
Severity, but I
about
think it does have a
those.
bit more. Yeah, people don't talk about the Dark
Mac
Vault
from
at
Dark
all.
Vault. I'm assuming
Yeah.
Andy. I'm assuming you mean because Andy
Yeah.
fucking had a freak out when she was reading the Dark Vault. Like
It was
Is it bad
properly
so good.
what happens in that?
librarians and through the corridors
Holy shit, yeah.
and the hotel and the
Oh,
different like layers and the lady with the
So
cats
good.
and the
and the
guy's
betrayal.
sister and the betrayal and the rooftops and the portals and the
Oh no,
it was
now you've done it,
just
didn't it?
it was
So
just
good.
so good.
So good.
But Gallant and the wall and don't go past the wall and the house and oh my god.
Yeah, it was
I mean,
so
can we
good.
just say, like, yeah, so we
Like,
Dark Shade of Magic is my fave, then probably Monster Verity, then Dark Vault. Oh
But
no,
then also
Addy's in
Vicious
there
and
as well.
Vengeful
Addy.
and Addy
Oh my
and
god, Vicious
Gallant
and
and like
Vengeful. Oh shit, Victor.
Ranking is
all
so
I
difficult.
know is that it goes the Near Witch, Cassidy Blake, and A Darker Shade of Magic, Gallant, the Dark Vault. The rest of them, fuck only knows.
Addy's though, you can't. I'm sorry that you found that, Andy. I'm so
But
sad that
my
you found
issue
it
is
disappointing.
everything was pretty much 5 stars. How do you separate that shit?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because like Meg said the other day, like when I was saying that the vibes of these ones are very different. Schwab is not just an amazing writer because they know how to write, but it's the fact that they can write so many different like age ranges and styles, but still, when you read a Schwab book, you know it's a Schwab book. Whether you're getting creepy vibes, more lyrical vibes, you get like that's a Schwab. That's a Schwab.
She's
really.
like a vibe chameleon.
Yeah, but like no matter what they produce, you get her vibe like every single time, and that is just an amazing skill to have. And the fact that she can write things like A Dark Shade of Magic, and then write something like Addy, and then something like Gallant, and then so fucking different. You wouldn't think that an author would be able to write a range that big. Because people
Yeah.
normally stick to a certain style and a certain way of writing, don't they?
Mm-hmm. That's
It's not
fair.
middle grade.
Gallant is hard to. Yeah.
It's written
it's
more
like
middle grade than any of the others are.
I think you feel it's more middle grade because it's a younger protagonist, younger main character.
Yeah.
But it's YA.
I love the disability.
I mean, there's a reason why nobody could decide where to shelve it in Waterstones. Like wherever you went, it was somewhere different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nobody knew what to do with that book. It was great. Watching the
loved
publishing world implode.
Yeah.
What is this? We don't know. We want to read it though. We just don't know. Just give us the book.
What was your least favorite?
Near Witch.
Near Witch.
I am really glad we started with that. And I do feel like we should have done it and then Cassidy Blake and got Cassidy not out of the way because I really enjoyed this trilogy as a whole. Like, as a whole, that trilogy was good. It just doesn't... it doesn't reach the intensity of A Darker Shade of Magic. Like, it doesn't... You know, like, starting with the whole... magicians having their like fights and Lila in like the different Londons and like nothing will beat that level of like epicness. But
no, I agree.
I do wonder if we should have put that further forward. Knowing
but I
that
do
now,
think the Fragile Threads of Power is going to be a ride.
I was going to say, I'm sure it'll try and give it a run for its money.
I have got high hopes, and I might be setting myself up for a serious smack in the face, but I don't think I will be. That
I have been
I'm
waiting so many years to find out what the fuck is going on with Kel's powers. Years.
yes.
You guys
But
don't
also,
even know,
now that we're
man.
talking about
You only read it this year. You don't even know the stress that I've been under.
I read
Excuse-
Dark Shade of Magic like 2020.
When
In
did you read
December.
Conjuring Light?
2020.
Oh,
Yeah, that was
You
the
missed-
only series that was a reread for me.
You
okay.
missed my comment.
What?
Yeah, a whole.
Hey, I read it in December. That was last year.
Oh,
I
the
was at
irony!
Strawberry.
The irony!
Ooh.
Okay, Chloe, since you're here, Chloe babe, favorite Schwab book, least favorite Schwab book, and favorite character out of all the series. Go. Just put her right on the spot.
Not like putting you on the spot or anything.
Not that we did that earlier.
But is there a Fragile Threads of Power audiobook yet?
I don't know. Shall I have a look? Shall I have a gander?
Should we have a giddy gun? A Fragile Thread? No. Oh shit. I'm gonna have to read it physically. Or wait for the audiobook.
I don't have it on any of my TBRs, and am I fed up of waiting and do I need it now? Yes, I do.
I got my Forbidden Planet version today, and can I tell you, I'm so glad I got the Forbidden Planet version. Because the edges, the stenciled edge was just perfection.
I had to make a decision. I was comparing them both for a long time.
Know what? Oh, US Audible.
Ugh.
Okay, so Vicious and Addie are my favourites. Henry is my Henry.
Yeah, it's a good shout. Yeah, everybody agrees.
Nearwich is
Nearwich.
my least favourite. Don't tease me. I can't read it until I pick it out. Thanks, Jem.
You were
Jem.
excited when I gave it to you.
So, for reference, Chloe, when Andy picked a 12 in 12, Jem picked Threads for that. So Andy can't pick that book
I
up till
can-
next year.
Andy,
when
I
he
can
picks out
change
of
it.
12.
I can change it.
And this means I need to set up maybe a US Audible.
Do you know what Andy did for her 12 and 12 for me? She didn't even let me pick. She just went, Tori, I'm putting Maria down.
I'm aware because I am in the chat. I didn't know you'd heard that bit.
No, I think she's talking about me picking it for Andy.
Oh, yeah. Oh, shit, yeah. I forgot this yes in the chat.
But Andy, honestly, I can change it.
Maybe.
If you want to read
I've,
it before, I can change it.
Just turned round and found Eden sitting on Richie's chair while he has a bath. And I don't think I've ever seen Eden sit on that chair without Richie.
Is she standing up? Like,
She's literally sat right up against it.
oh,
It looks like she's going like that.
Yeah. I thought she was
And
sat like
then-
a human.
And I
Earlier
just
on-
accepted it because cats are possessed.
I turned round and saw her sleeping literally in his lap with her head against his forearm while he was gaming. So her yelling that I tried to cancel out earlier was him trying to get up to go for a bath and her yelling because she didn't want to move.
Fun times. Well, what are we? I'm gonna put it out there. What are we guessing? The ratings for Fragile Threads of Power. I'm hoping and praying and also Schwab give the breakdown. Oh no!
Share the tea. Share
Tell
the
us.
tea on the final Schwab along.
Tell
What's
us, do you want to
happening?
come join us? Like, do you need to come live for this? Like,
Give us your
Last 5
inside
minutes?
knowledge.
Is it secret breakdown?
I
that
mean,
you
there's
can
only
maybe,
5 of us here, Chloe. It's fine. Maybe 6 of Ashlog's
It's not recorded for the internet to see it all. But if you need to put it in the chat. Oh, so Threads one just came out. Toxic lesbian vampires next. Oh, Yes, Threads 2.
Victorious!
Fucking take time,
Threads
Jesus.
3. Do you know what, right? When we mentioned the, you want to find out what happens with Kel's powers, that triggered in my brain Victorious. But I can't believe we're going to have to wait a while for that one still. If she's got toxic lesbian vampires coming up, and then Threads 2, and then Victorious.
It's going to be so good, though.
That's going to
It'll be
be
a
at
couple of
least.
years.
Do you think that'll be like one book a year? Is that like how they've gone for release wise?
I also want Dark Vault 3.
I'm on a train.
I'm on a train!
Hey, Chloe on a train! But
are we getting a Dark Vault 3? Wait, did I miss
I mean,
that?
it's
I
not
don't
there.
know. No, she would just say she wants one because she wants to be with Mac again. Do you know what I mean?
I want one. I mean, to be fair, never give up, guys, because Maria started writing more books a decade later.
Yeah, don't do that. I haven't even read a first series yet. Usually is at least one a year. At least one a year. So if we're thinking Threads 1 was this year, Toxic Lesbians might be next year. Although because it's a different series, that might also be this year. Actually, no, we're at the end of the year, aren't we?
It might
That'll
be
have to
the
next year.
it could be April and then
Toxic.
November.
Maybe. And then Victorious is 2025 at least, I think. Fuck.
But yeah, that'll be so like
This'll be
April,
here
November,
before
April,
we know
November,
it.
maybe.
Yeah, I do think.
No, Dark Vault was supposed to be a trilogy, but it got cancelled by the publisher because of the lack of sales when it first came out.
Oh.
They also did that to The Near Witch, which is why it got that big republish, because everyone wanted her debut.
Well,
you couldn't get it.
Not gonna lie, I could have just done without reading it. It wasn't like something that.
No, I think it's a good one. I think
it's
still good to read because it shows how far the writings come, and the story is still like pretty good. Like it's a good story.
Yeah.
And I think it's cool to kind of see where she came from, almost like where she started.
I totally didn't do that live without having finished the book.
The Returned.
We march on the publishers at dawn.
Picture to a
Give us the Returned!
Anyway,
we'll throw pens at them.
Go read 360 pages, so we need to go. This is not real. This is not for a live show that I'm doing tomorrow.
Totally not
at all. It went out of print 18 months after release. They were talking about early struggles in the publishing industry today. Oh no. Anyway, thank you for everyone. Thank you for everyone for joining. I can't speak.
Oh, bitch.
This is the end of Trouble of a Ding Dong. We may come back with the final thread. The finals. The fragile thread of powers. The final countdown. We'll probably come back at some point next year with the fragile threads of power. But we're going to give ourselves a bit of a break.
So basically, every 6-7 months, we'll just appear for one random live show. Hi.
Just to plug the other read-alongs that two of the hosts of this one are still doing. I'm doing Christoph along with this one in the comments, Miss Chloe. And we are reading Illuminate. Woohoo! And live show is on the 1st of November. And then that one over there is doing Mass Along with Ashley from Ashley's Bookish Life. And I don't know if they've got a live show for Assassin's Blade yet.
Monday 5th.
Monday the 5th of November. So, yes.
And I'm doing jack shit.
You are reading Titan along.
Thank you all for hosting this. I would never have read these books without you, and I had such a good time. Well, I'm glad that you did it. As always, it's fun to have you on. Illuminate live show 1st of November. Yeah. Did I say that? I don't know.
Yes.
We didn't, actually. But that's just me.
Oh, Chloe's apparently telling me the 5th is a Sunday, so that means it's the 6th.
Oh, what would we do without Chloe?
I know? What do I know?
God, Chloe's organised. Chloe's organised for read-alongs that she's not even hosting.
I love that I'm now like, let me just go check that I'm giving you the right date. La la la. Where is the
What should be
picture?
the 11th? I'm like, no, you'll be in London at that point. You can't.
No, it's definitely not that long back.
Oh, bless your little cotton socks. What, should not be the 5th or the 6th now?
That's why I'm panicking now.
I have a concert on the 5th, so that's how she knows it's Sunday. I have a concert on the 5th.
You should have just totally like left it, Chloe. I would have totally believed you.
I'm sorry, but Chloe, you have plans.
Monday,
That's
6th
totally
of
not lied
November,
to you.
7:30.
There we go.
I knew it was the Monday.
Going to see Jane Moscato. I know that.
Fair.
I mean, that's fair. And speaking of, I listened to him again on TikTok. The new again before we go totally off topic. I listened to Jane Moscato sing the Roxanne, and then I listened to the new guy, and the new guy is just a no from me. I'm sorry. I can't get behind that vibrato, whatever he tries to do to his throat. I don't know.
Oh, Chloe's not going to be able to go now. You've said that because she's already been putting off. She's worried about the new class.
Chloe sent me the vibrato guy.
Oh no.
Chloe's already heard it.
Worried. Chloe.
Oh no.
She's already heard it. She sent it me.
Chloe, you need a new comfort. You need a new comfort show.
Jim Moscato.
Okay. He's not a show. He's a man.
Go watch Sondheim. It's fine. You'll only like burst into tears about 4 times. It's fine.
Just go back and watch Les Mis. That's a cheery show. Everyone's real happy.
Until they're dead. Right, we're gonna go now. And we'll see you all some point in 2024. Bye.
Bye.